The Finance Committee meeting is called to order. We have 3 members present, so we have a quorum. As we go through the articles, each one is a public hearing as required under the charter. The first item, if we could, police department, please.
I have a question, Mr. Chairman. Do we have to go through this presentation again? Because everybody who's involved in making the decision has heard it twice now. If there's no question.
I know, but for the Finance Committee, it's a public hearing part, so everybody, we're going to go pretty quick since this has been done a couple of times. Just you two are okay with going quick?
Yeah, I'll start off and I'll let the lieutenant take over. The request is pretty basic this year. We have a couple of new cruisers. We have some money to refurbish a couple of the other cars. One, we're going to replace a old Crown Vic with the K9 officer still uses, which is getting to be a real hunk of iron that's lasted forever. And then we'll refurbish another one and pass it down. So it's short money for a couple of replacements. Instead of going for a third car, we'll take it easy, just do a couple of remodels. So we have the cars, and then we have some money for some upgrades to the radio, which is basically for police and fire, which we'll be doing over a couple of years, 2 phases. I'll let the lieutenant take over and kind of explain the way he's going to go about it.
Does anybody have any questions for the police department for their capital requests? No.
The only difference between the 2 cars is the detective's car gets what? The sergeant's car gets different lights or something?
No, the sergeant's car does have a different setup. He's similar to the setup of the K9. So what we're going to do is replace a 2011 Crown Vic with the 2017 Ford Utility. Give that to the K9 who has minimum mileage each year. And then we're going to give a new car to the sergeants who has they have the highest mileage this year because there's 3 sergeants on the road pretty much 24/7.
So are we saying goodbye to the last Crown Vic?
Yes, yes. This will be our last Crown Vic one.
A milestone in the town's history.
Do you want me to go over? Or
No, unless you feel it's necessary.
No further questions.
he said no further questions.
Motion to recommend 2 patrol vehicles and the repeater receiver totaling $178,805 from free cash. Is there a motion?
So we'll.
Second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
The items are recommended 3-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fire department, please. Again, you've done this presentation 3 or 4 times, so I think tonight it would be okay. It's okay with you to do like an executive summary format for the Finance Committee?
Sure.
So it's it's time for a recycle of one of our rescues, Rescue 2. It'll actually be going in we go in the back as the spare rescue, and Rescue 3 will be traded in. They're going to give us $7,000 for that trade-in. So along with the equipment, the upgrades to the LifePak 15 defibrillators and a new LifePak 15 to replace one of the LifePak 12s, which will be getting a $5,000 trade-in for that as well. The total cost for the ambulance comes to $362,881. And our generator, the 30-year-old generator, has to be replaced. They can't find the parts to fix it anymore. The cheapest bid we got was from Chocolatier, who handles all the generator stuff in town. And we're requesting $43,225. And
So what was the dollar amount for that?
$43,225. And the hose and nozzle upgrade, it's basically for the long lays we have in these big buildings when we hook up to the stanchion pipes and inside the buildings, especially like Jefferson Place or the new 40B going across the street on Mechanic Street. It gives us the hose and nozzles that we need now to fight those kind of fires. And we're asking for $24,704.
Any comments, questions from the finance committee members?
No?
Motion to recommend $437,810 from free cash for the three items listed: generator, ambulance, and hose and nozzle upgrade. Is there a motion to recommend?
So move.
Second. Comments, questions? All those in favor, aye.
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 The three items are recommended, 3-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Ward here for,
Not yet, but he's not on until 5:30. So if you want to skip to the next.
library.
The library is not coming tonight when we schedule the next meeting. I just got the email from Bernadette today.
Dennis, do you want to go?
Sure. We have a couple of items for the Parks Department that we are looking at. One being the Kubota mower, which will be paid for $17,640, will be paid for out of retained earnings from the solid waste budget, because it does do a lot of work down at the recycling center. There's a large area there that's got to be maintained, so that'll be kind of a versatile piece of equipment. That'll be helpful with cutting down there as well as other locations. I don't know if you have any questions on that.
Yep, on the Gator.
Excuse me?
That this is on the Gator.
This is on the Kubota,
About,
which would be paid for out of retained earnings.
okay, so that's a lawnmower.
That's all. And then the other item is the Gator, which will, the one that they're using now is on its last legs. The Parks Department maintains all the fields at the Blackstone Street School Department. As you know, they maintain all the school fields. And that's the piece of equipment that hauls equipment all over that complex. And the one they have now is on its last legs. It was actually a hand-me-down. So this will replace that. And it's something they use to pick up all the barrels to deliver equipment to different locations. If you picture the Blackstone Street fields, the high school and the middle school, it's quite a big area. So that's what they utilize that piece of equipment for. And that's $14,623.
So the Gator is going to replace an old piece of equipment?
It is going to replace it.
Is
Yes.
the Kubota adding to
Nope.
existing? Or is that a
Kubota's
replacement?
replacing an older piece of equipment.
That's a replacement.
Yeah, I think it's a 20-year-old piece of equipment is what's been identified.
Any comments or questions from the finance committee members?
Just wondering, is there any trade-in allowance for either one of these vehicles, or are we keeping them?
I think they both outlived their useful life. If we can get a trade-in, Joe, I don't think it's been attempted, but there may be an opportunity, but I'm not so sure.
Or
It has
we
trade-in
just throw
value.
them in the auction?
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
They're gonna go.
They're gonna go. They're not gonna be
They're not gonna
held
be
on.
held on, okay.
Either of them.
Is there a motion to recommend $14,623 from free cash for the Gator and $17,640 from solid waste retained earnings for the Kubota?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
The two items are recommended, 3-0. Thank you.
We have phase two, if you will, under building maintenance of our carpeting project. We did a fair amount 2 years ago. One of the rooms we did is this one. And what we have is carpet that's bunching up at the offices. It becomes a tripping hazard. We've been putting the plastic sheets down that go under the chairs that roll around. But we did the worst offices I think it was about 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, when it's time to do the balance. And the dollar amount is, I know it's not 60,000. Mary, what did we say? I think it was 28. Oh, you had 30.
We
Okay.
had 30.
28.
The quote was, well, the quote was a little dated,
Okay.
so we put it in 30 because we had to refresh that.
Dennis, this is under building maintenance?
It is under building maintenance.
Okay.
So what's the dollar amount?
It's $30,000. It was a dated quote, so 30,000 would be the number. We would have to solicit new quotes, but that gives you an idea of what we did last time. We would be soliciting additional quotes.
And the funding source would be?
Free cash.
Is that going to be enough, Dennis? The bottom line here on their proposal is 31.8.
Yeah, we thought it would work based on the vendor that we used last time around. So we think that's going to be adequate.
Okay.
Okay, motion to recommend 30,000 for the property as proposed from free cash.
So move.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Recommended 3-0. Okay. Is that everything that you had?
And that's all that I had. I don't know if you want to go through.
Does Domino's?
That was approved as a 5-year.
So we don't have to, nothing on it.
So let's do this
I'm
right
just-
now.
yeah.
Well, you have something there?
No, I actually have some spaces in here for capital. We didn't take a couple of votes unless I missed it, but I think I've got everything. I have a FinCom vote in here, not for everything. Except library. So I
What
think
about
we're good.
unpaid bills?
Yep.
Yeah, all right. I want to do unpaid bills now. We have 3 unpaid bills totaling $683. Motion to recommend paying and approving these 3 invoices, $683 from free cash.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, wait.
Yeah.
$125 is from free cash general fund. $558 is from water retained earnings. Motion to recommend.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
These are approved / recommended. 3-0.
Mr. Chairman, this is Bruce Lord, who was the petitioner for the article that's on the agenda.
Hi, Bruce.
This will constitute a public hearing, Article 9 on the town warrant.
John, by way of introduction, if I could, Bruce and I have had a lot of discussions along with Mary, and essentially this has to do with a matter that was proposed to town meeting and passed at town meeting in 1995. Bruce at the time was working with a couple of families that were purchasing land from the town to land. It was land of low value. It was $500 for each piece. And there's some, the title, it was registered land. The title was never formally executed at land court. And Bruce has been involved in it. We're working with our tax title attorney on it. And we discussed earlier today, putting this off until the evening of town meeting, because we may be able to get it resolved without having to go forward with this town meeting action. Does that kind of sum up what we talked about, Bruce?
Yeah, we may come before you with the full details at some point. But as in most cases, attorneys are involved in getting them together sometime.
Okay.
We're hopeful that we can resolve this. If we go forward with this article, essentially what it would do is reaffirm the article that was approved and passed in 1995, which the town essentially voted to sell to 2 small parcels of land of low value, to a couple of neighbors. What's happened is one of the neighbors is going through the process of selling her home. During the title search, it became apparent that the property wasn't conveyed the way it should have been. So the attorneys are working on it, as Bruce said, and hopefully we'll get.
So is this property owned by the people across the street from the property?
No, it's contiguous to their property. It's actually behind or adjacent. They live on a cul-de-sac, and it's a small sliver that's adjacent to their.
It borders Route 495, right?
Borders 495.
So are these the people who live on the side or across the street along the side?
They're the
Along the sides, either end. Either end of either corner of the street.
Yeah. It's very confusing, and we're hoping that we can spare town meeting and this board details, and we can get it resolved.
So
But
we're
if
gonna-
we can't, what we'd like to do is continue this to, or have the board consider it the night of town meeting, and hopefully we'll come in and tell you we're going to be passing over it
Okay, so we're gonna pass over this tonight, right?
for tonight.
Thank you.
And schedule it for the evening of town meeting.
Okay.
Can I raise something though? That might help in town meeting, because we might get that question. What's to keep somebody from putting up an outdoor sign on that parcel? Facing 490.
Fortunately, our zoning and planning expert, Jim Cupfer, is here, so I'll let Jim answer that one if I could, Mr. Chairman.
If someone's putting up a sign on public property, like a billboard, for instance,
Yeah,
yeah, no, well, billboards are prohibited in the town of Bellingham, so we would just have to go down and enforce those regulations.
good. Okay, that's something you might need in the town meeting.
Okay.
This parcel isn't scheduled for a sign.
No, it's not, but the
That area.
point was it is right on 495, so it'd be a great location, although
We
this.
could almost read the lettering on the truck tires when we moved in before the trees grew.
Mary, do you have any items?
So the other,
So Bruce is all set?
All set.
Thanks, Bruce.
Thanks, Bruce. Article.
Thank you, Bruce.
Transfer to stabilization, is it 18? Yes. Article 18, transfer to stabilization. We are recommending a transfer of $100,000 to stabilization. Funding source is free cash. And we're looking for your favorable recommendation.
No move.
Second,
Does this bring us back up to where we were 3 years ago, Mary?
It does, yeah, it does, Joe. It'll bring us up to, shit, where am I? Yep, back in FY16, we were 1.47 million. Right now, we're at 1.44. So it'll bring us just over where we were and replenish our reserves, yes.
The balance right now is 1.44.
1,448,000.
And this would come from,
Free cash.
so why would we even do that? Why not just leave it in free cash?
We would do that for a couple of reasons. Number one, to prevent us from spending it on something, but also to continue to replenish our stabilization fund, which is a critical variable that's looked at by our bond rating agencies. They want to make sure that we are continuing to replenish and invest in our stabilization fund since we're going out to borrow in the
So
spring.
how did the stabilization fund decrease?
I'm sorry. Why would it?
Did it?
It
Has
did years ago. Yeah, a few years back, you guys, you utilized funds to balance the budget.
It's like a rainy day fund.
Yeah, back in FY18, it dropped all the way down to 926,000 before I got here. So you guys utilized quite a bit.
Takes care of the surprises, especially with insurance.
Yeah, but to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, it's like having 4 pockets and you're just moving money from one pocket to another.
Well, it places some restrictions, a little bit more restriction than having it sit in free cash.
Basically,
No, I know, but I just think it's like, I don't know, I just have a theoretical issue with it.
by state standards, actually, we're underfunded in that account. Right? And it does have an effect on the bond rating when they do the reviews.
Yeah, but still, you still have $100,000 in one place or the other.
Well, it doesn't have
Whether it's in
one-
one fund or another, you still have it. So what's our free cash balance right now?
So free cash has not yet been certified.
And that's my, and there it is, that's my issue,
I'm sorry.
that's my issue.
Okay.
I mean, that's what,
So
that's my issue.
our estimate is that free cash is going to come in around 2.5 million, but it hasn't been officially certified yet from the Department of Revenue.
2.5 million?
Well, short of everything that was asked for this round of special town meeting.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
That says it's well below what was asked for from the different departments for this stuff.
As for the capital process, yeah, exactly.
When you say well below, you mean the estimated free cash is well below what was.
No, no, the
Of the
request for.
Request.
Yeah,
$16 million worth of capital projects, it's simply well below,
Yeah.
for sure, Joe.
And the certification, Mary, you expected within the next week or?
It'll probably take Department of Revenue about 2 weeks to
2
turn it
weeks.
around.
Okay, is there a motion to recommend transferring $100,000 from free cash to the stabilization fund?
So,
Moved and seconded.
All those in favor?
I,
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is recommended 2-1. So, okay, it's 18. We did unpaid bills. Dennis, do you want to do Article 16?
Sure. Mary, do you want to touch on it? Essentially, it's an increase of the spending limits for each of those accounts, but if you could go over what the current, what they're going to.
Ooh, can I ask a question? Are these existing?
They are,
So we're just increasing the amount.
that's right.
Nothing else is changing?
We are, there's a couple of changes, if I might jump in here, that's okay. So we're, Article 16 deals with revolving funds, and we have a number of revolving funds. We're only dealing with these 3 here because we are making changes to these 3. And so the changes are, and you don't have a color copy, but you'll see what is indicated with an underline is the new language being added. And what we're doing is we are modifying the revenue sources to include fines. Prior to this proposal, it only included any fees that we would assess on a regular basis to these businesses. But there are often violations and infractions, and what we're doing is modifying the revenue source to have the fines go into these revolving funds as well. And then under use of funds, we are making the language more consistent across all of the revolving funds to indicate that the revenue that goes into those funds is to be utilized in support of that particular operation. So for expenses, supplies, equipment, any outside contractors that we need to hire.
So in Article 16, what's underlined is the change.
Is the change.
So the change is we're adding fines to revenue for each of the 3 funds. What's underlined in use of funds is new language in the fund.
And then in spending limit, we are increasing the spending limit on one of those revolving funds, the inspectional services. It is currently at $35,000 annually, and we are increasing it to $50,000 annually.
Do we have any comments or questions? No. Motion to recommend Article 16. Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Recommended 3-0. Should we do Article 17, Dennis?
That is the schools. I thought they had already done that.
Didn't we present that to you already? I thought you guys already voted on that.
Okay.
We didn't go over any article items besides capitally and non-capital.
Do you have an appointment for them to come in? Okay.
do you want to touch on it?
And so I can touch on it. Unfortunately, I wish I brought a handout. I thought they were going to do
Okay,
it.
so can we go to Article 15, the
Sure.
conduct of town meeting, Dennis?
Yep.
Is that- would that be you?
So this one is actually in town council's hands, finalizing the language, so you don't have it in front of you. But this is, and so we'll ask you, we have a 10 o'clock meeting with them tomorrow to work on the language. We'll ask you at your next meeting to take action on this particular article, but essentially what it's doing is it is introducing or incorporating the use of our electronic voting devices in our bylaw. Right now, our bylaw is silent on those electronic voting devices. And we need to have language in there, especially for bond council approval, when we use those devices to vote on borrowing articles.
Okay, so it has to be there for bond, for the financing
Right.
votes. Okay, all right,
Right.
I understand. How about Article 14, lease of town land?
Sure. We're actually opening up bids on Thursday, so we'll actually know what the extent or what the likelihood of the proposal is. But this is the site of the former Pearl Street Mill, which we've been trying to do something with for quite some time to recoup some of the funds that we've expended up there. We took that property, it was a blighted property. We took it for taxes around 2002, 2003. We spent a lot of money to take it down and clean it up. And essentially what we're looking at is what is known as a battery storage project. And essentially what that is their batteries about the size of a trailer, and they take power off the grid and store it. And in times of high demand, that power goes back onto the power lines and is put back out into the grid. And it's a little bit more lucrative than, and uses much less room than solar arrays. That site has a lot of, has the river running by it, and other natural resources, which limit how much it can be utilized. So we're looking at using a portion of that parcel potentially for battery storage. We went out once before, about 3 years ago, with a battery storage RFP, and we did a similar article, and turned out that there were some incentives that the state had out there that weren't available to developers. Once we opened the bids or got moving on it this time around, we've had interest from quite a few potential developers. Jim's been working hard on this one with me on it, and we think we're likely going to get some proposals to lease that land for battery storage. It has the high tension wires right nearby, and it has a major substation just down the road in Medway. So
If you could guess, what would the annual revenue be to the town?
yeah, I can't even guess, but we'll be opening those proposals on Thursday.
How many trailers are we talking?
There's an area that they'll be able to utilize. So again, that'll be in the proposal, but it won't be something that you would see from the street. Part of the proposal will be to landscape the site, and the trail is the area that they'll use further back away from the street, closer to the power lines.
So that was my question. It's going to be, as you drive by, you won't be able to see what's in there. Is that
That's
right?
part of what we actually put into the proposal, was
Okay.
to landscape the site.
And part of this process too, if it were to move forward, that it would have to go to the planning board for a site plan review anyways. And they would certainly be limiting the view from anything on that site.
It would be quiet, right?
Yeah,
Not
no noise at all.
It won't be a loud hum or
No,
anything, right?
No, nothing like that.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, the neighbors obviously put up with a site that's not very attractive for
Yep.
a long time, so hoping we can do something positive up there.
How much of the land are they gonna cover? How many are they gonna put in?
About 4 acres of upland that they would be able to utilize. It's about a 16-acre site though, so it's a lot of natural resources right on the Charles River.
Like 170,000 square feet. You know, a lot of trailers in there.
Essentially.
Well, I'm curious about the capacity of those batteries. I mean, how much voltage or amperage can they hold, and for how long will it be effective?
And we can get you copies of the proposals, Joe.
We don't own batteries.
Yeah, no, they're not.
They're not
ours.
our batteries.
No, not our
It's,
batteries.
the state's been promoting it more and more for sites like this, brownfield sites, because what it does is it helps ease the impact when there are high energy demands in the summer. They're able to tap into these things. So it's one of the reasons why the state's been putting out credits to developers that are looking at putting these in. So
They may go out diminishing returns as far as producing and storing electricity.
Mhm.
You know, it goes both ways. So they're making electricity. There's got to be some deterioration of power being stored over long periods of time, especially in cold weather.
Mhm.
So, you know, I look at my transmission bill, it's more than my electricity. You know, and the maintenance of the electrical system now is more than the actual cost of electricity. And this just adds to it.
yeah. They want to lease that land from us for $200,000 a year, then we'll be happy to let them do it. As long, and the other side of it is they're going to landscape the area and take up, some of the debris that's there and make.
So
it look a
they'll
lot
clean it up
nicer.
aesthetically in the front. It'll look like, I don't know, woods or something.
It looked like, or I think the goal is the tree lined area.
It won't look like it does today.
But
Yeah.
Perfect.
We're doing arborvitae's, pine, or
I'll let you take
Texas
that.
yews. So I guess some will fill in quickly, and others will take 20 years.
All right. Any other comments or questions? Motion to recommend Article 14.
So
Second.
Second,
All those in favor of recommending Article 14, aye.
aye.
Opposed? Article 14 is recommended, 3-0. I think that's it, right? Everything else is capital outlay. A lot of stuff for John and Mark.
John, if I may just confirm for you, on Articles 2, 3, 4, and 5, we are not anticipating moving those articles.
So 2, 3, 4, 5, will we pass over?
Be passed.
Correct.
Do we still have more items coming for Articles 6 and 7, capital, non-capital? Or was that it tonight?
That was it, and according to my records, the only thing that we have open is library.
Okay.
Library and Article 1.
And Article
Yeah.
1, which I will send out to you guys prior to your next meeting, and we'll take it up at your next meeting when you have UCB on here.
Which we're trying for next Monday, when that's fine. Early, and see if that works. John said that worked for him.
What
The
time is it?
19th.
Have to meet at 7.
Select meet at 7, so I was thinking 6. Yeah, John said 6 would work for him, so if there's nothing else really on the agenda, it's just him, we can probably do 6.
So if it's Hemi and capital, are you thinking Hemi and Article 1?
Yeah, probably just to get
You might want to go 5:30.
5:30.
You might want to go 5:30 if everybody can make 5:30.
Yeah, we need capital too, vote on the library.
Right.
We didn't vote on it last time.
Right.
What happened to the senior center?
That's been tabled. We're not,
They're not going to come back for this meeting? I mean, for this town meeting?
not for this town.
Okay, all right. All right. Do we have any other business?
We have 2 sets of minutes. I made the edits that you sent over, so we have the minutes from Darrell. Or 21st and then the September 29th.
Nice having you at all these meetings.
I appreciate it.
It's nice having you at all these meetings.
Okay, motion to recommend minutes of September 29 and the minutes of September 21. So second,
Second.
all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Minutes are accepted.
And then I just have my invoices.
Approval. A motion to recommend 3 invoices for the clerk for the month of August, September, and October, $318.32 each.
So move.
Second, in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 3 invoices are. approved. My signatures, besides mine.
If I can just get you and Joe and then submit it with the minutes.
2,
Yeah, that's fine.
1 or 2.
We'll take 2, but did you guys vote to have that's the power and just the chairman to sign these things? Oh, okay, all right, maybe we'll take that up next time. I'll get you them going. Okay. And then that way we only need one.
You gotta get that, recorded or something like that. If you have to every time.
Okay.
Date for the next meeting?
Yep, next Monday, the 19th, and the 19th at 5:30.
October 19, 5:30.
Correct. And I'll get capital improvement as well, up at the library.
Is there any other business?
I think that's it. I'm good. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks. Motion to adjourn. Second.
So move.
All those-
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.